Ladies and gentlemen, WWE Universe, and every single fan who has been waiting for a decade for AJ Lee to finally speak her truth. Today's breaking news is the biggest shocker of the year, because AJ Lee has officially broken her silence, and the wrestling world has exploded. We're talking a heated backstage clash with Stephanie McMahon, a firing decision that left the entire Bloodline furious, a podcast confession that WWE tried to shut down, and a political war inside WWE that no one saw coming. But this story isn't just about AJ Lee returning to the spotlight. This is a story about power, revenge, and the moment one woman stood up against the machine that nearly broke her. Today, for the first time ever, we have the full timeline, the hidden motives, the unseen reactions, and the real reason the Bloodline is suddenly pulling strings backstage. So sit tight, because this may completely change the future of SmackDown, Raw, and possibly This is the AJ Lee breaking news special, and trust me, it starts mild, but ends in absolute chaos. Let's begin. For nearly 10 years, AJ Lee has stayed silent. No interviews, no podcasts, no shoot-style commentary. Just quiet support for CM Punk from the sidelines, the occasional Comic-Con appearance, and her book signings. But all of that changed this morning. At exactly 8:32 a.m., AJ Lee posted a cryptic message on social media. "I stayed quiet for too long. Not anymore." Within minutes, her post hit 2 million views, but the real bombshell came 3 hours later, when AJ appeared on a major wrestling podcast, one that WWE has been trying to shut down for months. And during this interview, she didn't hold back. AJ talked about how her departure was not voluntary, how WWE made a decision behind her back, how her final meeting with Stephanie McMahon ended worse than fans will ever know. But the real shock was when AJ revealed the line that Stephanie allegedly told her, "Superstars are replaceable. Even you." Those words changed everything. AJ claimed she felt erased, undervalued, and pushed out to make space for someone else. She didn't mention names, but fans immediately started pointing at a certain family dynasty ruling WWE right now, the Bloodline. And here's where this story takes a dark turn, because according to AJ, her removal was connected to decisions made to protect future main eventers who needed the spotlight more. The timing is suspicious, because around the same week AJ left WWE, a major contract was signed for Roman Reigns' long-term push. Some fans believe AJ's exit wasn't about women's wrestling at all, but about political reshuffling behind the scenes. But wait, if you think that's shocking, just wait until you hear what happened backstage the moment her interview went viral. Because the Bloodline is not happy, not even close. And their reaction is what triggered the next stage of chaos. As soon as AJ Lee's comments hit social media, WWE headquarters lit up like a Christmas tree. Emails, messages, emergency calls, producers scrambling, directors panicking. The entire machine went into damage control mode, and in the center of it all, the Bloodline. Several insider sources have confirmed that Roman Reigns was furious when he saw AJ's interview trending worldwide. Why? Because AJ's comments indirectly called out the political environment that protected Roman's rise to the top. And while she never said his name, fans immediately connected the dots. But the real explosion came from Solo Sikoa, who reportedly stormed into a production meeting demanding answers. According to one insider, Solo felt the Bloodline was being dragged into drama they had nothing to do with. He said the timing made it look intentional. But here's the twist. The person who was the most upset wasn't Roman or Solo. It was Paul Heyman. Paul reportedly warned WWE executives that AJ Lee's comments could snowball into a PR disaster, especially if other former divas come forward with similar experiences. He specifically mentioned Paige, Gail, Kim, Caitlyn, and a top legend who still hasn't spoken publicly. But things reached a boiling point when a WWE digital producer leaked this line: "If WWE fires someone over this, the Bloodline won't stay silent." That sentence changed everything. Because hours later, a shocking firing did happen. A firing that set off the entire wrestling world. A firing that AJ indirectly caused. But WWE is now trying to cover up. Let's go to the next chapter. Less than 12 hours after AJ's interview, a WWE employee was quietly released from the company. No announcement, no internal email, no acknowledgement of their years of service. Gone, just like that. This would have stayed hidden. But the wrestling world noticed something weird. A high-ranking member of the creative team suddenly had their name removed from SmackDown production sheets or W-script files, premium live event planning boards, and even internal WWE group chats. The person fired was allegedly responsible for podcast outreach, social media approvals, and coordinating PR responses to talent interviews, meaning this person should have flagged AJ's podcast appearance, and they didn't. Because of that mistake, AJ's interview went live unmonitored, unedited, and unfiltered. Sources say Stephanie McMahon was furious beyond belief. Which brings us to the most insane part of this saga. Stephanie McMahon personally reached out to the fired staff member, And according to an anonymous source, Stephanie blamed them for letting AJ speak freely without WWE involvement. She said the mistake put the entire company at risk. But here's where the Bloodline steps in. Roman Reigns allegedly told close associates, "Someone got fired over comments that weren't even about us." That's the real problem. Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso reportedly echoed the same sentiment. "We punished the wrong person." But according to AJ Lee, this firing is just the beginning, because in her next message posted late last night, she claimed, "More people inside WWE know the truth, and they're scared to speak up." Fans immediately began speculating. Is AJ hinting at an internal corruption scandal? Did Stephanie McMahon silence people for years? And why is the Bloodline suddenly defending someone they barely knew? But all of these questions lead us to the most explosive twist of this story. AJ Lee versus Stephanie McMahon, the podcast confrontation WWE never wanted leaked. Let's break it down. While fans only heard AJ Lee's side of the story, behind the scenes, something much bigger happened. Something WWE hoped would never go public, because according to multiple insiders, Stephanie McMahon privately reached out to AJ Lee after hearing her interview, and their conversation was a disaster. Apparently, Stephanie expected AJ to soften her statements, to say her words were taken out of context to calm the fans down. But instead, AJ did the opposite. Insiders claimed that AJ told Stephanie, "I'm done protecting people who didn't protect me." That one line reportedly left Stephanie stunned. But what came next was even more brutal. AJ allegedly accused WWE of using her mental health struggles as a storyline, ignoring her contributions during the Divas Revolution, pushing her out to protect bigger corporate priorities, and covering up 3 major incidents involving people at the top. Stephanie supposedly denied everything. But AJ dropped one last bomb: "If you keep pushing me, I'll release the recordings." This sentence changed the entire dynamic, because Stephanie immediately contacted WWE Legal. And suddenly, AJ's podcast episode vanished from multiple platforms, but fans had copies. Clips were already clipped, shared, and backed up. The internet had the receipts. This censorship attempt caused even more backlash, with fans accusing Stephanie of silencing women, controlling the narrative, and repeating the pattern AJ described. But the final twist: Stephanie and AJ were not the only ones involved in this confrontation, because someone else jumped into the conflict. A Bloodline member. Sources are hinting at one shocking name: Paul Heyman. Heyman reportedly sent AJ Lee a message praising her bravery, and he allegedly told WWE, "If AJ speaks more, you won't like where the narrative goes." Why would Heyman support AJ? Why would he risk angering the McMahon family? That leads us to the final section, the part of the story that may change WWE forever. Everything you've heard so far was dramatic. But this last part, this is what WWE is terrified of. Because AJ Lee still hasn't revealed the core of her silence-breaking message. What she said was just the introduction. According to insiders who claim to be close to her, AJ is preparing a full exposé, including her private emails with WWE officials, audio clips from meetings, notes about creative decisions, a shocking political conflict between the women's division and a top male-led faction, and here's where it gets nuclear. AJ Lee's final message said, "Some people from today's locker room want this story out." This means someone current in WWE, someone, a CTIV someone, likely from the Bloodline, is secretly supporting AJ. This aligns with Paul Heyman's backstage comments, and Solo Sikoa's anger over the firing, and Roman Reigns saying WWE made the situation worse. Here's the theory spreading inside WWE right now. The Bloodline believes the company is scapegoating them. AJ believes the company is hiding truths, and both sides feel betrayed by management. If AJ goes forward with her exposé, WWE could face a massive PR scandal, talent walking out, sponsors demanding answers, and fans calling for leadership changes. But the craziest part, AJ Lee hinted she might appear live at an upcoming wrestling event. If she does, if she shows up, even unscheduled, it could break the internet, embarrass WWE, ignite old rivalries, and trigger a storyline or backlash bigger than CM Punk's return. And fans cannot stop asking, why is the Bloodline tangled in AJ's fight? Why did Stephanie try to silence her? Why did WWE fire someone the same day? And what exactly is AJ threatening to expose? Everything comes down to one final chilling line. AJ posted this morning, "This isn't about the past. It's about what's still happening today. Ladies and gentlemen, something huge is coming. The truth is coming. Whether WWE likes it or not, this is the biggest wrestling story of the year. And we've only seen the beginning." If AJ Lee releases her evidence, if Stephanie responds publicly, if the Bloodline keeps pushing back, we might be witnessing the most dangerous internal war in modern WWE history. AJ Lee has already started shaking the entire industry with just a few sentences. Imagine what happens if she drops the full truth. So stay tuned, because as soon as the next update drops, whether from a JWWE, the Bloodline, or backstage insiders, you will hear it here first. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because this story is evolving by the hour, and the next chapter might be even more shocking.